Daeshina Stevens back on the floor for St. John's. Stevens with 10 to lead all scorers. Also has 2 fouls. Here's McKenna. An open 3 in and out. And rebounded by Williams.
You look at all the white jerseys, defensive rebounding. And one thing I know about Joanne McCauley's defensive philosophy, it's all about rebounding. That's why you never see them play a lot of jump. You know, they play the matchup and they play man. And that way they're always in good rebounding position.
3-on-2 for St. John's. McKenna finds a cutting Stevens. And that's 12 points now for Daeshina Stevens.
I think that's a good coaching move by Kim Barnes-Arica to get Stevens back in the game. She gives them so much confidence on the offensive end. Let's see if Duke can attack her, though, defensively.
A steal. And they're going to get a layup on the other end. Coast to coast goes Keelantra Langley. And St. John's back on top by 2. By the way, McKenna with 5 assists after she hit Stevens in transition.
Watch Mary Wachaku try to keep Elizabeth Williams from catching it on the block. See, there's the double team.
Selby able to bank it in to tie it at 23.
See, and that's a good no call right there. You see Selby give a little lean in and score. Let her make the play. Have a patient whistle on that. Good job by the officials.
That's the first bucket for Selby.
A little contact.
Well, as long as it's consistent in how they call it. Stevens. That wouldn't drop. And another rebound for Peters.
See, I'm going for an isolation right now on Daeshina Stevens. I want to make her defend one-on-one. And she's got Haley Peters, who's got versatility. They do a lot of stuff with Peters in their offensive sets.
Williams now 1 of 2. That's her first miss from the field. Was way off of that half hook. Stevens, Langley, long 2 is good.
Good, solid contributions off the bench by St. John's.
If they hit their perimeter shots, that really is going to open things up in the middle. And St. John's has already had success getting into the lane.
And that's why they got to stay in that matchup, they do, because I think there are certain matchups.
More? Go to NCAA.com.
I got 2 happy kids at my house. One is an Ohio State fan, the other one's a Louisville fan. And then my other son, he goes whatever, you know, he goes whatever the champion is always.
Yeah, how about Louisville? Rick Pitino going back to the Final Four. So the Big East is represented, despite the fact that their best team, Syracuse, lost. 5 seconds to shoot, and the jumper by Stevens. And it's Duke ball. Checking with Heather Cox, who was listening to both huddles during the last timeout.
Well, Dave, Coach McCauley defines herself with defense, and that was the theme throughout the last timeout, saying we are just allowing St. John's jumpers, not just threes, but jumpers anywhere they want. Our defense has to be more aggressive. And Debbie, something I know that's very important to you, she said our arms have to be up. The entire first half so far, our arms are down at our knees. We've got to get them up and be a lot more aggressive.
Well, that was aggressive right there, Heather. Look how hard Elizabeth Williams fought for position. And then the catch. And that's with her left hand. Her ability, if she catches it with 2 feet in the paint at the front of the rim, that is going to be hard for St. John's to deal with.
That's a second field goal for Williams. She has 6 points. We're tied again at 25. 5th tie of the game. And that's got to be a foul. They call it. And she's only going to get better. You and I were talking, you mentioned earlier the height differential between her and Brittany Griner. But just, I know you feel that they're comparable in terms of their offensive skill when Griner was a freshman.
I think that actually Elizabeth Williams' skill set's a little bit ahead of Brittany Griner's as an offensive player right now in their career. But clearly Brittany Griner, to me, is the national player of the year. I think she's the best player in women's college basketball. Unique and special and unlike anyone we have seen in our game. And Kim Mulkey does a terrific job getting her isolated on the low block.
Here's a steal by Selby. McPherson will challenge, and Selby able to put it in.
Not only does she have one arm in the passing lane, she's got 2 hands and an elbow. So she's way up the line, Selby, gambling. You got to have some ball fakes.
And then Selby with good defense.
The coaching background and the skill set and the ethics that Gail Gestencourse brought to our game to be gone.
Entry pass, and it's broken up by Williams. Duke ball, 2-point lead, 3.5 to go in the first half. Here's a pull-up J by Gray that's too strong. Williams had a crack at the offensive rebound. McKenna out of there with it. McKenna with 5 first-half assists. Off the front rim there with a jumper.
Numbers for St. John's, and if you're going to upset Duke, those are the kind of plays you have to finish. But I will say, when St. John's doesn't turn it over, they have set their defense and got the matchups that they want.
Stevens got to be careful there defending Peters. Williams, great dish as she hits Peters for the layup, and Duke leads by 4.
Wow, look at Elizabeth Williams. She's already had a triple-double this year, but it was with blocks and rebounds, not with assists.
6 points, 2 rebounds, and that assist so far in this game.
Usually you talk about guards making everyone else better, but as a post player, she makes everyone else better on her team.
Selby cherry-picking, gets the layup. Gray spotted her. And
inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame this June.
And Vanderveer last year was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a big deal and a well-deserved honor.
Well, let's see if somebody else other than Deshina Stevens can score for St. John. She has 12. The team has 25. Here's McKenna, the shot clock at 5. A floater in the lane, short again, and Peters with the rebound. And here goes Gray in transition. Terrific passer. Oh, what a great dish to Williams, but she blew the layup. Williams didn't miss the second time, though, as Selby finds her. Largest lead of the game for Duke, and it's a 10-0 run. Gray pokes it away, out of bounds. It'll stay St. John's ball.
St. John's needs to make some plays in the middle of the floor, playing north and south against that zone, not east and west.
Shot clock at 2. Smith has to fire. One and done a lot for St. John's.
Yeah, Duke is always a good rebounding team in position. They've only been out-rebounded 5 times all year.
Here's Williams, lost the handle, but it was last touched by McKenna. Barnes Center.
That's a big basketball team. They've got 7 players taller than 6'2". In South Carolina, well, they've got 1. He doesn't play a lot.
Shot clock at 4. Vanderveer posting up, can't finish.
She adds that consistently to her game. My goodness. She's all set to be the #1 pick in the WNBA draft.
Already moved out of her apartment.
Took a final exam last night.
Yeah. Here, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. You got the honor code, so you can take the exam. No teachers or proctors, even when you're on campus, to take the test.
Shot clock at 15. And a turnover by Duke. St. John's can hold for the final shot if it chooses. Boy, the Red Storm got off to a great offensive start. They've really struggled since.
Now, I think when Joanne McCauley went to more matchup than man-to-man is when her team was able to get out in transition.
5 seconds left in the half. McKenna turns it over, so Duke. Gray saying go deep. Williams able to tip it, and a 3-pointer that's good at the buzzer. Trisha Liston buries the 3. 12 points, but no one else really did much offensively.
Now, I think they've got to make plays in the shoot, meaning in the middle of the floor, in the free throw line area. That's where the matchup zone gives you space. And if you can get in there and keep it out of the corners, because they're going to trap.
That's what happened there, and almost a turnover. And now Thompson has to fight through.
And I think we were turning the ball over for points for them, and they were able to get out in transition. One of the things we talked about is we don't want to turn the basketball over and give them easy baskets, and I think they forced us to do that late in the first half.
Kim, thank you.
And not a good start to the second half against Duke's defense.
Yeah, they missed 14 shots in the first half, and they only offensive rebounded 4 of them. That's not good enough for St. John's to be able to knock off the 2 seed. You've got to make sure you get in there and rebound and use your speed and athleticism around the glass.
Well, St. John's came out with this emotional surge to start the game. It's their first trip to the Sweet 16. They were kind of the president's darlings, if you will. Remember Barack Obama picking St. John's in his bracket on ESPN to go to the Final Four. They said they had to deal with that kind of pressure in their first and second round games, as Duke's lead is now 13. You wonder if that's just weight on them, not just the president picking them, but getting here for the first time.
Well, I think fatigue was a factor as well in turning the ball over. And it's about mental toughness. That's the first thing that yesterday when we met with the players that they talked about, you know, being able to play through. And see, they've made 2 critical errors in a row and turning the basketball over. And
Gray's going to get a layup, but she missed it on the other end. And then a foul on Stevens, and that's 3 on this year. Elizabeth Williams battling a stress fracture in her leg. We saw Allison Berneret leave for the locker room late first half. Heather Cox has the latest on her.
Yeah, Dave, Allison is back out from the locker room after receiving 3 stitches on the cut over her left eye that, as you mentioned, she received late in the first half. The Duke medical staff has said she is cleared to return to action here in the second half.
So if you take her 3 stitches and you add it to the 16 that Haley Peters had against North Carolina in that game, that's 19 stitches for the Blue Devils. How about that stat?
And then you got out with an ACL. Amber Henson with knee surgery. Chloe Wells violated school policy, so she's not available. And you wonder how good this Duke team would be if they had those players. They're already pretty good.
Yeah, they're good.
But Rashae Jackson would certainly help, as finally Shanika Smith gets off the schneid with a bucket there.
Well, I think Rashae Jackson is their most impactful injury because it came late, and they have gone to a 4-2 record without her. So as Liston drives and finishes, what Jackson brings to the floor as a non-predictor. She was their slasher, the one who get out on break. She could make plays off the bounce. She was able to guard multiple positions. I think that's hurt Duke the most in terms of injuries.
Amber Thompson missing inside, and Williams with a rebound. Selby ahead of the pack. And nobody picked up Williams. And the lead is 17 for Duke.
Yeah, here is the fatigue that I was talking about. St. John's does not look connected, and they've lost that focus that Kim Barnes-Arico was talking about.
Smith, her 3 in and out. Does St. John's have the firepower to come back from 17 down? They're not a very good 3-point shooting. So talked about with Heather Cox, St. John's has failed to do here in the first 3 minutes of the second half. And they're in danger of getting blown out.
Well, and here's the other thing. You say bad body language. I don't see anybody talking either. So I don't see any verbal going on either.
Liston with the bucket, just too easy. Too easy. Give Duke credit for how it's running its fast break, but also St. John's not getting in good defensive position in transition. And it's a 19-point game. Stevens able to pick it up and score her first points in a while. He was pretty much the lone player for St. John's to be consistent in that first half offensively.
You know, what St. John's has to concentrate on right now is getting some stops. You have to be able to get stops on demand in the NCAA tournament. Right now, Duke's getting whatever they want offensively.
Including that, a 3 from Selby, who's only a 28% 3-point shooter.
And she's played extremely well tonight on both ends of the floor.
Just the 3rd field goal in 14 tries for Shanika Smith.
Every basket by St. John's in this second half has been that of attacking the baseline.
Gray able to flip it in, and a 3-point opportunity as Stevens.
I think the seeds will hold in all those games. And I really am looking forward to seeing how Texas A&M will challenge Alyssa Thomas from Maryland and how they will choose to defend her. She is the most powerful player in our game right now.
There's Deshina Stevens to the bucket, and they need more of that from her. Stevens with 14 points now, the only St. John's player in double figures. Meanwhile, Duke with 4 players in double figures.
Oh, she fell down with a basketball.
For Duke.
Well, I would make the contention that, you know, as good as their defense always is, it's their offense that's the difference in the NCAA tournament. And it's all anchored around what Elizabeth Williams brings to the floor. And they're able to hit open shots around her because they can play to Williams, they can play through her.
You were just pointing out to me, looking at their game notes during the commercial, about the miserable shooting for Duke in their losses to ranked teams, with the exception of their loss to Kentucky, compared with their outstanding